What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today we're going to be talking about how to gauge and how to test out demand in your area when it comes to starting a Turo or car sharing business. Now, it can be tricky if you're somebody who is new to the world of Turo, and it can be a little daunting to figure out if there is demand in your area, to figure out if it's a worthwhile investment to buy a car and list it on the platform. But there are very easy and simple steps that you can take to gauge interest, gauge demand, and determine if Turo is a worthwhile investment for you. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through everything you need to know. So let's get started. Now, shout out to an Instagram follower of mine who actually DM'd me this question the other day, and it is ultimately what inspired this video because I've realized that it's actually not anything I've ever spoken about before. And I thought that it would make an interesting video for you guys because I do think it is a very valid question. Now, before we get started, I would like to note that I do have a car sharing masterclass. This is a course that teaches you everything you need to know about starting a profitable Turo side hustle. If you guys are interested in checking that course out, I will include a coupon code at the end of this video. So if you want to check out that coupon code, make sure to stick around until the end of the video. Now, if you are somebody who has explored Turo or you've been interested in joining the platform, then you've probably asked yourself the question of, is there demand in my area to support this business model? And that is a very, very valid question to ask. The problem is Turo and the platform don't really make it that easy to figure out. Now, whenever you're gauging demand, there are kind of two different schools of thought. There is a school of thought from the perspective of a current Turo host with a fleet of vehicles, and then there is a totally separate school of thought for somebody who's brand new with no active vehicles. Now, let's first talk about the perspective of a current Turo host with current vehicles listed on the platform. If you have vehicles listed on the Turo platform, gauging demand is actually very easy and very simple. All you have to do is look and see if your cars are being rented out. For example, I have a 10-car Turo fleet, and I know that when demand is high, my vehicles are going out with virtually no leeway in between rentals. I will have a car get returned at 1 p.m., and then the exact same car will be going out at 5 p.m. Or I'll have a car get returned at 10 a.m., and then it will go out at 2 p.m. There is very little lead time between rentals, and my cars are sitting at my lot for virtually no time at all. On the flip side, if there is slower demand, then I may see a 24-hour window between rentals. I may see a 12-hour rental. And some very extreme cases, like last year with COVID-19 and the height of the pandemic, you may see your cars sit for days or weeks at a time. Seeing your cars sit and not being rented out is, of course, a surefire sign that demand is low. Now, demand being low doesn't necessarily mean it is the death of your Turo business. Depending on where you live, demand is cyclical, and depending on the time of the year will highly dictate demand. For example, if you live in Florida, then spring break is going to be an extremely popular time, but maybe in the middle of October, demand would be a bit lower. That doesn't mean that your business is dead, it just means that you have to plan for those slow months. On the flip side, if you live somewhere where most of your guests are going to be people that live in the area and they're simply renting your cars because they need a vehicle to get from point A to point B, then your demand may be busy all year round. It is extremely dependent on where you're located and what types of guests you are attracting with your vehicles. But regardless of where you live, what type of vehicles you have, what type of guests you have, you can gauge demand if you have a current fleet by the amount of time that your cars are sitting between each rental. But on the flip side, if you are a brand new Turo host that doesn't have any vehicles and you're just starting to explore the Turo platform, well, then gauging demand can be a lot more tricky, and it's a lot less clear if you don't have an end to the platform, if you're not seeing demand with your own two eyes. So let's hop on my computer. I'm going to show you the exact tactic that I used whenever I was first expanding my fleet, and this is the tactic that I would use today if I was a brand new Turo host. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Turo.com, and you're going to want to go wherever you live, wherever that is. Let's say for this example, let's choose Denver, Colorado. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the city that you live in or the city that you're going to list your cars in. You're going to put that into the where category. Next, you'll want to go to the from and until section, and you'll want to choose a date range that is quickly approaching, like with not a lot of advance notice. So I'm recording this video on Thursday, May 6th, and I'm going to choose Thursday, May 8th as the pickup day, and then Thursday, May 15th as the return day. So there's only a 2-day 2-day advance notice for a 1 week long trip. You're gonna wanna do about the same, like 2 or 3 days notice. Even 1 day notice would be fine. I'm then gonna click search. Once you click search, you will then be brought to the search page for Turo. Now you'll see here that these are just the general vehicles that are available. There's no search filter that's applied. There's no restrictions that are applied. There's no price target that's applied. These are just the general vehicles that are available. And there's quite a lot of them, actually more than I would have anticipated for such a short notice. But the thing is that not all vehicles are created equal. For example, my vehicles that I rent out are low-end vehicles. And because of that, this Ford Escape would be my competitor, but this Tesla Model X would not. Like, the fact that this Tesla Model X is listed on Turo means nothing to me because my customers are not people that are able to spend or willing to spend $180 per day on a Tesla Model X. So because of that, with data like this showing every single type of car there is, that's a bit irrelevant because there's a lot of cars out there that are meaningless to you. So the next step in this process is you need to go to price. And you need to filter out the price for a vehicle you're going to be renting, like the price range that you expect to rent your vehicle for. If you're renting a lower model car, like I do, for example, then select a price range of $10 to $50 per day. If you're going to be renting a higher end Mercedes, then maybe put it $50 to $100 per day. If you're going to be renting a Tesla Model X that's fully loaded, maybe put $150 to $200 per day. Whatever the case is for you, you're going to want to set a price filter for your type of vehicle that you plan to rent on Turo or that you're exploring to rent with Turo. You'll then want to click view results once you choose what type you want to filter. For this example, we're going to do $10 to $50 per day. Now you can see here the different types of cars that are available for this price range. There's a Nissan Rogue, a GMC Savannah, you have another Nissan Rogue, a Toyota Tacoma. There are all the vehicles that are listed here. But what we want to look at is we want to look at the map view. So you can see right here is the map view, and you can get a decent idea of what the demand is for the Denver area. Now, whenever we're looking at a single city, and for this example, it's Denver, but for you, it would be whatever city you plan on listing your cars, it's important to not only take into account the city that you're in, but also the surrounding minor cities as well. For example, I live in Dallas, but I care about all the vehicles in the DFW area, not just the ones in Dallas. In the case of Denver, we want to pay attention to all of the vehicles in Denver. So the ones in Boulder and Longmont and Littleton and Aurora, you'll want to pay attention to all of the surrounding cities as well, not just the singular city that you're focused on. So you can see here the map. These are the vehicles that are available with a 2-day notice. The next step that you'll want to do is you want to take a screenshot. Then we're going to minimize out of the map. And then we're going to scroll back up to the section up here. We're going to keep everything the same, but we're going to change the dates to be about 6 months in advance. So I'm going to change it from May to, let's say, October. So October 8th to October 15th. I'm going to look at the map once again. You can see the demand is quite a bit lower here. There's a lot more vehicles available. Rightfully so, with 6 months notice, you would think that that would be the case. And then I'm going to screenshot this again. Now, the reason why we do this is because of the fact that Turo doesn't show you what vehicles are listed in your area. They only show you what vehicles are available in your area. So if you only look at vehicle availability for one date or 1 week, you're only going to see the vehicles that are available for that week. You are not going to see the vehicles that are available across the entire market in general. So by choosing 2 different dates that are far enough apart from each other, you get to see, one, how many cars are available right now, and then you also get to see how many cars are potentially available in the market as a whole. Now, this isn't a perfect proven system, but it will give you a decent idea of what demand looks like. For example, let's turn to the screen once again and let's examine those screenshots that we saw. So this first screenshot right here that I am putting a square around, that is the screenshot of present day with a 2-day advance notice. This is for May 8th. You can see that there are vehicles available, but the vehicle availability is quite a bit more scarce compared to the date in October. You can see in October, there is much more availability. There are much more cars that are available in the Denver market versus in May. This goes to show that the date in May is probably a much more accurate reflection of what vehicles are listed in the market. And if you compare this to how many vehicles have been rented out, you'll see what has not been rented yet. This will give you a decent gauge of potential demand in this market. Now, I would like to note that this is not a perfect method. The fact is, by even choosing a 2-day advance notice, it's still leaving room to have these cars being booked out. Just because a car isn't booked out today doesn't mean that it's not going to be booked out 2 days in advance. But it does give you a decent idea of demand, even if the system isn't perfect. Another tactic that you can use is looking at how many trips a vehicle has been on. For example, if you're scrolling through the Turo page and you're seeing a ton of cars with like 0 trips, then that's a good indicator that cars are not getting rented out for whatever reason. But if you're scrolling through and you're seeing that a lot of cars have a lot of trips, then that's a really good sign. For example, this 2008 Kia Rio has 96 trips. This BMW has 158 trips. An Audi A4 has 127 trips. In my opinion, I think that 100 trips is a lot of trips. That's a really good sign. You can see here this Chevy Traverse has 76 trips. This Audi A4 has 127. This BMW has 158. Hyundai Accent, 85. This Nissan Sentra, 270. Like this Toyota Prius has 9 trips. This other Toyota Prius has 5 trips. Like, that's not good. If you were seeing a bunch of cars with like only 4 or 5 trips or even 10 trips, like that wouldn't be a great sign, and that could potentially mean that there is low demand. But the fact that we're going through this Denver market and we're seeing a lot of cars with a lot of trips, that's a very, very good sign. That's a really good indicator of the demand in the Denver market. Now, like I said earlier in the video, neither one of these methods is like 100% effective. Like, they're not going to give you a 100% clear-cut way to understand the demand in your market. But both of these methods together will do a really good job of adding clarity to the equation. If you look at availability across multiple different dates and you pair that with the method of looking at trips and the number of trips that a vehicle has had, and you combine these two methods together, it will give you a really, really good idea on demand. And it will give you a really good idea of whether or not Turo is worth it for you and where you live. And then once you start adding cars to your fleet, that will give you a really easy way to gauge demand, because all you have to do is look at the cars that are being rented from you, seeing how the demand is, and then gauging from there. But with that being said, you guys, I hope that you found this video helpful. This isn't a topic that a whole lot of Turo YouTubers are talking about, so I hope it provided some value for you guys in your effort to expanding your Turo fleet or starting a Turo fleet. Like always, if you have any questions, comments, or if you have anything to add, then make sure to leave a comment down below. If you're interested in checking out my car sharing masterclass, then use the code DEMAND to get $25 off the purchase of that course. And like always, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.